Welcome back, and this is the big issue here on TV3Newday. Quick look at our headlines this morning. President launches the NAELP for illegal miners. Also, police chase doomed prophets Jesus Ahmofet on 100,000 Ghana cedis bail. EC wants probe into Mohammed's 1 million votes. In Collins Dowda, others case takes shape, and 44 million Ghana cedis approved to fight bird flu. The Daily Graphic is next. It says the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program for illegal miners. President there with the Western Regional Minister, the Lands Minister, and some chiefs as well. Alternative Livelihood Program, 220,000 illegal miners to gain employment. Cabinet approves 43.9 million cedis to retool veterinary services, and ban on Abubuya postponed to February 2021. Was supposed to have started in November this year. Investigate former President Mahama over electoral fraud claims, according to the EC's Bossman Asari. The Finder newspaper, Cabinet approves 43.9 million Ghana cedis to combat bird flu. Dr. Efriye Akoto is our Greek minister. Seaboard calls on government to fix bad roads in Tema Petroleum Hub. And some applicants say they opted for Ghana Immigration Service due to no jobs. Dr. Ekwuamoah Boateng, pioneer of solar in Ghana, wins top award, and 30 million Ghana cedis disbursed to tourism players. Total of 55 million World Bank grant to be fully disbursed by November, close of November this year. The Ghanaian Times, community mining scheme. President launches livelihood program to benefit 220,000 people. Also, beyond the return, Ghana targets 150,000 tourist arrivals by December, according to Dr. Mohammed Awal, who is the minister responsible for that sector. Thousands of prospective fire service, Ghana Immigration Service recruits throng Elwak Fire Academy to go through screening. Dr. Ekwuamoah Boateng wins Emmy for technology industrialization in Ghana. What's on the back page? Queen's baton lands in Ghana, and I remember so well in year 2000 when I had opportunity to hold the baton and got a certificate signed by Ambassador Rod Pulling, High Commissioner Rod Pulling, who was then here on behalf of Her Majesty. Happy birthday to Mr. Emmanuel Ni Kole. Kolenge, we call him. It's your birthday to the big bro. Happy birthday to you. If it's yours as well, happy birthday. And thanks to Grandpa Clothing at Dan Suman for my outfit. He put stitches and fabric together to make this bespoke shada. You call him 020-985-5696. Again, 020-985-5696. My guest this morning is the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency, is Alassane Suhuyini, and he has joined me here on the ticket of the NDC. Also, Honourable Dennis Miracles Abuaji is a former MCE for Akuapem North. He joins me here on the ticket of the NPP. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome. How are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you.
Great. Warm morning. Cold morning, I should say.
I think very cold.
Cold morning.
Yeah. It's a cold morning.
It is. Let's quickly begin. I have a point of interest, maybe 2 minutes on it. Coco, please show that video again from the Nkrumah Circle. I'm sure you both use the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. On a daily basis, you find heaps of refuse sitting there. We recently launched Operation Clean Your Frontage. That's our frontage as a city. And every single morning, there's Bola there. I don't know what's on your mind. You're a former MC, so you can share some insights how things like that end up.
Johnny, let me say a very cold good morning to our viewers. I mean, a warm month, but it's very cold out there. And let me say a belated happy birthday to our General Secretary, Mr. John Boedu, and then Honorable Frank Anodompre.
Okay.
It's a woman.
Okay.
MP. I wanted to make a preliminary comment before this, but you've brought it up, so I'll speak to it. I think there are service providers who are being paid to handle some of these things. In fact, within all the MMDAs, they all have contracts with sanitation companies for them to handle these situations. It's quite unfortunate, and I find it quite appalling that at this point, at this time in our life, in the center of our city, we still have these things, heaping up. I think that there's a very simple solution to this.
Which is?
which is to make sure that whoever has a contract is dealt with ASAP. Then he would set up. Because if you have a responsibility, you have a job to lift some of these things, and we wake up to go about our duties in the morning and still find them on the streets, then you don't deserve to hold that whichever contract that you have. I think this is a very straightforward, simple matter. It is somebody's job.
Right.
It's somebody's contract. It's somebody's responsibility. A person is being paid by the state, and so that person should do his job. The second level is the supervision. If you go to the MMDAs as well, there are sanitation and environmental departments.
That's right.
Whose responsibility is to ensure that they supervise and coordinate some of these contracts and make sure that service providers are doing their job. I think it's very crucial that at this point, as we are all working together to rid our city of such filth, these departments must also be up and doing and get to work. If they have to wake up earlier before all of us and ensure that these things are not there, that's their job. But if you wake up in the morning with all the stress that you have to go through, and this is what you see, these are all mental health issues. All these things affect your mental state. They all affect how your psyche before you even get to work. And I think that we deserve better as a people than this.
Elijah, what do you say?
I say it's a shame. Good morning to our viewers and especially the very good people of the Tamale North constituency. It's a shame that we have that, spectacle greet us in our major cities in Ghana. It is not just at the Kwame Nkrumah circle alone. In fact, if you go to Accra Central, you see same heaps of rubbish every now and then. And in many parts of our, cities in the country, in Kumasi, in Cape Coast, we have seen videos and pictures of similar heaps of rubbish, and it's a big shame. I mean, one thing that we need to look at is the centralization of the collection of these rubbish. You will notice that it seems so centralized that the district chief executives, the local government operators, tend to have little control over the collection of these rubbish. You would have expected it to be better in Accra because even though centralized, it is centralized in Accra, and so maybe the Accra mayor will have some level of control together with the regional minister. But even if they are faced with this challenge, then you can just imagine what happens at the various local levels across the country, because these deductions are done on the District Assembly Common Fund.
That's right.
And paid to the collectors. And sometimes I have heard, I thought that my brother was going to speak to it since he has been a district chief executive before. Some of them complain about even how much is paid on their behalf for the collection of garbage in their districts, when if they were given the same funds, they could have used even less to collect even more effectively than it's currently done. So that is the bigger picture we have to address. But the other picture we have to look at is the commitment that leadership shows when it comes to dealing with this sanitation. Our commitments seem to end with the very beautiful speeches that we make. So far, personally, I speak personally, I have been impressed with the zeal of the Greater Accra Regional Minister, and his commitment to ensuring that the right things are done in the city of Accra. I was disappointed when, during the launch of the campaign to clean your frontage, the president made time to attend. I was disappointed because I feel he may just jinx, a very good project.
But the minister works to the president.
I know.
So the president can go anywhere he wants to go.
I know, but I'm just hoping he won't jinx that very good exercise. I mean, this is a president who launched, the National Sanitation Day in 2017 and made very lofty speeches on how he was going to make sure that Accra becomes the cleanest city, in Africa. And told us how he was going to ensure that. And right after the speech, I'm sure he forgot of what he said because nothing really happened. You talked about the National Brigade, Sanitation Brigade that was going to be formed. He talked about, the visit.
Sanitation marshals as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And then
there's a brigade and then there are marshals.
Yeah, so I'm just saying
the ministries,
these were, and they were supposed to pay regular visits to all offices to ensure that there's compliance to, sanitation measures and all of that. In fact, let me just quote what he said about
quickly, so we don't spend all the time on this one.
Yes, he said he noted that there will be a rezoning of concessions, equipping of tricycles operators, and construction of mini transfer stations to facilitate the rapid collection and transportation of waste from the cities. That was what he promised in 2017. And if we still have this greeting us, it just tells you the level of commitment to doing exactly what is said.
But it comes down, like Dennis is saying, to supervision at the local level.
Yeah.
At the ministry, if you're a sanitation marshal, appointed at the ministry, the president cannot be there every morning to tell you what to do. There's Ajay Taria, who is MCE for Klotekole. Yeah. There's Elizabeth Sowa, who is MCE for AMA. Yeah. Then Nkrumah Circle, shares boundary. They both have authority there.
True.
It would take them to act. It would take Henry Quartey this morning to act.
I agree.
The president
absolutely.
cannot be everywhere.
Absolutely. What the president has, the power he has is the power to appoint and disappoint. Okay. Yet the president, over the last 4 or 5 years, if these were the directives he gave and they were not implemented, not even once fired anybody for that, inability to carry out his directives.
Okay. I hear you.
Let me correct.
Okay.
So Honorable Soyini, the fact is that the sanitation contracts are decentralized. They are not centralized. In fact, the contracts are rendered by the coordinating directors and then the MCAs and DCs with the service providers. Okay. That is fact.
So it is not the sanitation ministry, or if you like, the local government ministry before the sanitation ministry or something.
No. There are about I think 2 or 3 contracts, at the local level. We have the SIP, that's the Sanitation Improvement Program. Right. That basically handles the street cleaning and street clearing. It's rendered between the assemblies and then the service providers. Okay. And then we have the waste, landfill sites ones. That is also rendered between the assemblies and then the service providers. So of course, when it comes to payment, usually it's deducted at source, before
that's what I refer to.
But the
centralization of the payment. That's what I spoke.
No, you didn't say that. I want to correct.
He said payment.
No, he said the contracts are centralized.
So hold on.
No, let me just correct.
So hold on. What I remember he said. Hold on. What I remember he said was that sometimes the monies that are collected on behalf of the assemblies to pay for these things,
that is not scope.
If given to you at the local level, could help you collect more.
No, it is the same.
For less.
No, that's what I want to correct.
Okay.
That's what I want to correct.
Okay.
I have signed a contract with the service provider.
Okay.
The contract says I pay 10 Ghana cedis. It is 10 Ghana cedis that will be deducted at source. What happens is that at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, there's a service rendering profile, whatever, to indicate what work has been done.
Okay.
And it's based on that the payment is done. That's
if you are the one signing the contract, why are they deducting at source?
Because it's my money, and I've chosen that it should be done at source. It doesn't change anything. The contract is rendered by me, between me and the service provider.
So the ministry has no business?
The ministry doesn't render contracts for waste landfills and then the SIPs. We render it.
I hear you.
That's only the fact. Again, I mean, sometimes when we are discussing some of these things, let's deal with the issues. I find it very unfortunate that with the slightest of opportunity, we want to slander the president, and the contradictions are too much. In one breath, you are praising the regional minister for doing his work. In another breath, you are attacking the president for, engaging the regional minister. The contradictions are too much. It is the president who has appointed the regional minister to work at his behest. If the regional minister is delivering...
Did he say attack the president for appointing the regional minister?
Of course. If you say that the president is going to jinx, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does jinxing mean? So in one breath, when there is positivity in the region, it is the regional minister. When there is negativity, it is the president. I mean, the contradictions are too much.
I hear you. Well, I remember that...
Since he had a second bite, let me just clarify what I meant, which he understands to be contradiction. You see, the president, I've told you, has the power to appoint and disappoint.
Right.
And, Johnny, if you recall, on this set, I have said before that I sympathize with some of the appointees of the president because I can see drive, I can see initiative, I can see commitment. But if you do not have that self-drive and self-initiative, you are not going to perform and you are not going to be sanctioned or rebuked because the president simply is not on top. That is the point I'm making. So the president appointed a previous regional minister. He appointed DCEs and promised that he was going to make Accra the cleaner city. Those people did not perform. Those people never got sanctioned. And so I can distinguish between the zeal of this new regional minister and the, lack of it in the past, and how he wouldn't have also been punished or, rebuked if he also just did business as usual.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to you, Mr. President. I know that we did a big launch at the banquet hall in an air-conditioned. We were promised about 200 million. You remember that, Mr. President? And that we were going to make Accra the cleanest city. In fact, you got a chieftaincy title, Ni Kwaku Ablade Okuji Amande First at Manchagbonan for sanitation issues. Mr. Vice President, good morning to you. You have also made some promises regarding how much we are going to even borrow to come and deal with our sanitation issues and all of that. Good morning to you, Auntie Cecilia. You have been our sanitation minister since 2017. If these things are confronting us, we need to be asking you a few questions, and you need to do some introspection. Good morning to you, Henry Quarte, and to all the MMDCs at whose frontage you find such heaps of refuse. It doesn't befit us. It doesn't befit a country that is a place to come for tourism. It doesn't befit us if we say we live in a smart city led by smart people, inhabited by smart people. It is not good at all. So may it not be so again. On a daily basis at the Nkrumah Circle, you find rubbish. That is not good. It is not good. Good morning. Then yesterday the president launched an alternative livelihood program set to benefit some 220,000 people, particularly within the mining sector. How different is this from the initiative of one district, one factory, one village, one dam, planting for food and jobs? Because I remember that when we launched those ones, we said they were going to be the alternative for people who were going to be taking off the pits of mining and those who are interested in logging so that we create the jobs for them. How different is this one from those ones that are already up and running?
Okay, Johnny, thank you. Nobody said that. When we launched the one district, one factory and the planting for food and jobs, we said that we're going to use those models to solve unemployment situations. So the issues are...
Particularly also for those mining.
It never said that. We never said that.
Okay. I'll find the video for you and play it for you.
Then, so I want to...
No, so I'll find the video and play it for you.
Relax.
Great. So,
relax.
So just so you know that it was said.
Let me tell you the main focus of the program. Of course, if someone loses his mining site, he becomes unemployed, and then he needs to work. So he can work under 1D, 1F. He can work under planting for food and jobs.
But I'm saying to you that it was said. You said it was not said.
I am saying
so I say I'll find the video and play for you.
The main objective of our policy, the main objective of our policy is broader than the point you are making. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Please find the video for me.
No, it's not necessary.
Why is it not necessary?
It's unnecessary because I am telling you that the main objective of the policy is not.
Okay, go ahead. So I will play my video.
Pick my words carefully.
Thank you.
It's not only to deal with illegal miners and those who are out of job in the mining sector.
Okay.
It is to deal with unemployment holistically.
Thank you.
That is the main objective.
I will play my video regardless.
Now, the point with the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program is to deal directly and solely with those who have been unfortunately be affected by the government's policy or program to save our natural water bodies and forest areas. You remember since 2017, this government has launched an onslaught on illegal mining, especially Galamsey, in especially some 5 regions. And this has led to a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to the economic situation of some of our citizens in these areas. You know, for years now, for some of these areas, that is how they've been surviving.
Right.
And this has actually been one of the challenges to our ability to win that fight against Galamsey. Because at the end of the day, people's economic survival is very important.
That's right.
And so if you tell them that you need to stop illegal mining so we can save our water bodies, and they go home and they are hungry, they are always going to have find creative and alternative means to come back and then mine illegally. This is what has led to the Ministry of Lands and Resources and the President yesterday launching this particular, program. And the idea is to introduce alternative livelihood, models for people who will be affected by the onslaught against Galamsey to engage in other economic activities.
Okay.
There are about 6 models. 6 models.
Within this one?
Yes, within this one. It includes apprenticeship, it includes skills development, it includes models like reclamation and afforestation, which I think is very important because it means then that there's a specific policy at this point to reverse all the damage that has been done to our water bodies and our forest areas over the period through Galamsey, and at the same time creating jobs for these people. It only gives the state the moral authority to continue on this tandem and win this fight. Because if at the end of the day, and of course, Johnny, you know that one of the challenges, one of the issues that our people have always been raising is, you have asked us out of Galamsey, what are we supposed to do?
Right.
How are we supposed to survive? So now there's an alternative. If you fail to take advantage of the alternative, then you cannot complain. Then again, the state also now has a moral justification to come after you and say that stop it because we've created an alternative.
How much will a beneficiary under this program?
I will not be able to tell. I mean, I didn't even hear that mentioned yesterday. Okay. And I'll not be able to tell. But whatever the case is, we cannot even begin to make that analysis because when it comes to Galamsey, Johnny, the amount of money some of them make from these things, there's no way we can say that we can provide a direct commensuration of whatever job that we are giving them. The main purpose of the policy is have a more legal alternative way of surviving, so that you did not destroy something that all of us, our lives, depend on. That for me, it's critical. Nobody can begin to sit down and say that, okay, let's analyze. When I was doing Galamsey, I was making 100,000 a week, and so if you're giving me an alternative, let me make 100,000. Then
what would be the motivation for them to stop? Because we are trying to get them to stop. We are trying to protect the environment, and we are trying to provide alternative jobs.
They are even fortunate that as a state, we have decided to even create an alternative for them and not even prosecute them, because what they are doing, first of all, is illegal. It's illegal. So they are even fortunate that as a state, all of us, you and I, who are affected by some of these negative activities, have come together and said, let's use our taxpayers' money to provide an alternative for them. They should embrace it, because you see, at this point where we've gotten to, we have decided that whether we like it or not, we are going to put a stop to this menace. And so if we are going to put a stop to this menace, and you are going to be affected economically, then embrace whatever the state is giving to you. Use that as a platform to build onto it going into the future.
220,000 to benefit. How did we come by this number? And is that to suggest that there are 220,000 young people engaged in illegal mining in this country?
There may be less or there may be more, but at this point in time, the alternatives that have been provided, when the figures are worked, these are the numbers that could be engaged. This thing has been running. The first phase had been running for a while now. I have one of the sites in my municipality, Richie Plantations, and I think I've been part of the lifting of 1, 2, 3 of such what they basically do is that the first phase was providing another form of entrepreneurship for these young people. So in my municipality, for instance, Richie Plantation every year has been lifting about 1 million seedlings of oil palm, which is given to landowners and these galamseyers for free, for them to plant on the land that they used to feed on, and then so that at the end of the day, this oil palm plantation become their source of revenue. They are provided with plantains and whatever you to plant to be able to make some money while they wait for the oil palm and all of that. So this is the phase 2. The phase 1 has been very, very successful. A lot of the communities are engaged as we speak now. If you go to the Kade area, if you go to the Western Region area, a lot of them have been engaged in this oil palm business. The phase 2, I think, is going to deal with those who have the axe and hoes and be digging, and those who have mothers who have babies behind their backs and they are carrying this sand into the water to wash and all of that, so that they'll be able to make some money. Don't forget, if you go to a galamsey pit, not all of them are making the millions. A lot of them that you see there are living on daily, what they call daily allowance. Okay, so they carry, they wash, and all of that. Whatever they find, they go. When they are going home, they give them something to go, hunt them out to go and feed on. I think that this is a very, very, very positive step for us as a state, as a country. This is something that, if there are areas that need to be tweaked and improved, we should all contribute to tweak and improve on. But at the end of the day, for the first time in the history of this country, forget politics. We are providing alternatives for our galamseyers who are destroying our water bodies and telling them, guy, stop destroying our water bodies. We need to survive as a people. Here, work on this. Whilst you work on this, you make money. And then our water bodies and our forest areas.
My final question to you before I go to Alhaji. So we know that galamsey, as the minister himself has said, is a cabal. The people you find in the pits, they are not the bankrollers. They can't. The people you find in the pit are not the ones who can go and buy or hire an excavator and pay these labor fees you're talking about, the hand to mouth. We are doing this, yes, to keep the labor force off the pits. But how are we tackling the bigger fixtures?
So it's very simple.
So that they don't lure these people back into the pits.
So it's very simple. You remember earlier on this year, the government sent out close to 400 military people into the forest areas and the water bodies. They've been burning chamfans, they've been destroying the sites, they've been arresting those they meet on site and all of that. At this point, government is saying that, listen, it is illegal for you to do what you're doing. If we come after you and we get you, we are going to use the laws to deal with you. And so we are providing an alternative for you. That is first level. Second level, if you read the statement from the ministry, second level is the landowners. The landowners are the ones who are being given some of these oil palm seedlings and some of these cocoa seedlings and coffee seedlings and cashew seedlings to also plant, so that they also don't have an excuse, knowing that now you can have an alternative for your land and also make revenue.
Is there a third level?
The third level are those who would go and invest hundreds of thousands of dollars and get excavators onto those sites. Those are the people that the military now would go after, and they are going after in the forest areas, destroying their machines.
Nobody has been prosecuted.
Well, if I come to the site and even the name on the excavator is Kofi Menu, and we cannot even track, there isn't much we can do. So there are 3 levels. If we are getting those,
how do you mean?
No, what I mean is that there are 3 levels.
Your car that you drive now has a chassis number.
But it's not my name.
I'm saying your car has a chassis number, just like every excavator. If you pick up an excavator, you can see the chassis number, go to DVLA or go to our port, wherever it came from, and trace and find that it belongs to Dennis or it belongs to Swami.
The fact remains that when you go to the mining site, and not even just the mining site, a lot of these vehicles that you see around do not have the right, legitimate documentation. That is fact. And sometimes you be chasing ghosts as you go after them. It is fact.
But how do they get here?
Well, it is fact. It is fact. That's another issue.
Because an excavator is a huge
Johnny, that's
machine.
another issue to deal with. It is fact. We know that there are grey-white owners of businesses and grey-white owners of some of these machines. If you go, it is fact. It's not just a today issue. It's been there for a very, very long time. Let's deal with the issues as we are dealing with and take it one at a time. The key thing is that we are not stopping. we are cascading the challenges and cascading the solutions as well. We've dealt with the low-ending ones. We are providing them with the alternatives. They are off the site. If we come and meet you at the site, engage in illegal, we don't care who has engaged you. The law will deal with you as a person.
I hear you.
And we have the moral authority to do that because we provided an alternative.
Alaji, step in for me. So this is 220,000 young people who will be getting alternative jobs, as we are told. First, how does this come to you?
Well, the problem with governance is that if you don't know when to stop campaigning, you get caught up in your own deception. You were right when you spoke of the intentions of the 1D. One district. Yes, one district, one factory. You're right. I mean, it was packaged as the solution to unemployment in this country. And the expectation was that the people who are lured to engage in illegal mining in these mining communities will have factories working in their district that will need their hands. And so they will be attracted to those factories away from, the dangerous mining sites that they engage in. So you're right. And again, Johnny, you recall that this government in 2019 also launched another program that was to deal with the scourge of illegal mining, the community mining project.
Right.
It was big, just like this one, big. So when you have a government that rules with platitudes and rhetorics, they are unable to tell you what the CMP has achieved, but they move on to the next big ceremony and event. And then they launch that also big, and perhaps they will move on, because the focus is not really on solving problems. The focus is on, presenting oneself as, committed to solving the problem. So it's more of a PR gimmick, I think, to show that something is being done. Because otherwise they would have been telling us the achievements of the CMP, the community mining project. How did it get, those engaged in that sector? And my friend here just made a valid point about how much people make from the mining sites and how difficult it is to provide them with alternative livelihood that can pay as much as they get from the mining pits.
Right.
So if the community mining project that was still supposed to keep them in the pits somewhat, but also regulate their activities in such a way that it did not affect our environment, could not solve the problem. I wonder why we think this is going to solve the problem, given our understanding of how much they make from those mining pits.
Well, give them a chance.
Well, I am saying that if we are actually, if our focus is really to solve a problem, we should be asking ourselves, how well did the CMP do?
Okay.
We should have answers to that. And is this, to deal with fallout from the CMP?
Okay, based on research.
Based on research.
Monitoring evaluation.
Exactly. We should be getting that information. Or is this just another ceremony? Is it the case that the CMP failed and so the youth are still in those communities, either still engaged in the illegal activities, or they are not making as much as we thought they will make from the CMP, and so the CMP has become useless?
What do you know?
And so we are moving
400 security men into the bush. They've showed us things that they are picking up, things that they are burning up.
Yeah, that is a separate thing, and I have spoken about my uneasiness with that approach. In fact, on the floor of Parliament, I've raised it several times. And that is a separate issue. The concern is with what do the young men and women who usually are just pawns, in the whole enterprise do. Once you flush their bosses out, what do they do to survive? Because it's a matter of survival. What do they do to survive? That's a question that we have all been asking ourselves.
And that's what this seeks to answer.
And the solution, we're told, was going to be the community mining project. And so if this morning we are told the solution is new, the National
Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program.
It's only fair that one will ask about the community mining project. It's only fair. What happened to that one? I mean, it's less than 2 years. Not so. It's less than 2 years. And if we are now moving from that solution we provided in 2019 to this new solution, we should be given answers as to how the first solution proposed that was also, launched in grand style.
Fair point.
Perform. That is, my view. My thinking is that this will also just be another ceremony. And if we are not very careful, a year or two down the line, another platitude or, very catchy phrase will be launched and put on our front page. But the problem with illegal mining has to be dealt with. And over the years...
How do we do it? Because
over the years...
I see the small fishes being caught, paraded. And the big guys are not brought to the fore.
So that is what we have to deal with. I mean, clearly, there has been evidence that big wigs in government with strong connections have been involved, in this enterprise. And because of their influence, it has been very difficult to, apply the law, even when we say we are out there fighting it. Indeed, at some point, even the person who was to lead the interministerial committee himself was accused by colleagues in the same party for engaging in those activities. So it tells you that, the fish started rotting from the head. And that is what makes it even more difficult to be convinced about, anything that is launched by way of dealing with the problem.
Now, in a related matter, let's look at youth unemployment. And yesterday, the young people that we saw at the Elwak Sports Stadium for both immigration service and fire service, some of those we spoke with say they are going on to these recruitment processes because they can't find jobs. Maybe you play a bit of the video for us, how people were rushing to and fro at the Elwak Sports Stadium. And I'll put that question to Dennis. Dennis, increasingly, the numbers of young people who step out at any given opportunity to say, we want jobs, is becoming frightening. Today, we are on the 27th of October, correct? We are going 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st October, NAPCO ends. Where do they go, for example? All the young people that we are seeing, and it's worrying. They're paying 100 Ghana cedis to buy forms. They are running around the place, and I can tell you more than half of them will go home with nothing, and the process starts again. What help is there for them?
Johnny, before I come to that, it's important that we clarify a lot of issues that's Honorable Senior. So let's probably do some quick education. Community mining scheme was introduced to sort of ensure that mining in communities are done responsibly. Okay, the mining in communities are done responsibly within some of these areas to reduce the hazards and the risk that these are people who engage in it, suffer. And so, just so Honorable Suyini is answered, that what has been done so far with the community mining scheme. So
you have detail to share.
4,000. We've had about 4,500 of our people, trained at the University of Mines and Technology.
UMAT. Okay.
Yes, UMAT. And so far, 14 schemes have been launched, in this. So if you go to Insiana, that's Amanse West District. If you go to Tinga, Bole District. If you go to Meriwa, Obuasi Municipality, Ayase, Obuasi East. We also Obuasi Municipality, Adumenu, Adansin North, Aketechi so Amansie Central District, Dura, Nzema East, Akango, Nzema East, Aboso, Pristia Huni Valley, Bekwai Municipality, Adinkwaso, Adansi Aspa District, Subriso, Adansi South District, and Ariebo. These are the schemes or the programs that have been launched and have been operating since June.
He wants to know how it has impacted the
close
fight
about
against
126,000. Close about 126,000 direct and indirect jobs have been created through these programs. So that is the answer.
So he wants an assessment of.
I have just given you the figures.
How? Okay.
I've just given you the
If it
figures.
is that successful, why are you not expanding it? Why are you launching it?
Wait. Let me
allow him.
Let me answer. So you see, in dealing with the Galamsey,
Assuming that the figures
the NDC do not understand. That's why they are able to.
Okay.
solve
So
it.
explain to us.
Let me make this point. The NDC do not understand the Galamsey menace, and that's why they are unable to solve it in 8 years.
You
they
have
should just
power now.
allow us. Yeah. So that's
You
what we are
have power
solving.
now. Okay.
So I'm telling you that the challenges within the Galamsey sector is multifaceted. Okay, and that is why we are introducing programs and projects to deal with the issues. And I'll explain to you. If you go into the community, okay, there's a kingpin that owns a concession that brings young people to come and work, mine for him illegally and doing it irresponsibly. That kingpin is being taken under the community mining scheme to UMAT to go and study how to mine safely and responsibly. And then under these 14 schemes, he now comes back into the community, still mining under the small-scale scheme as the law prescribes, but this time mining responsibly and employing people. That is one phase. We have 14 of it. A lot more are being done. That is one phase. Second phase, we still have people who are just under their cocoa farms and inside rivers doing their own things, okay? And they're also employing people who are working by day and making money, a lot of money, okay? All these people need to be captured one way or the other. And that's why the second level of these programs have been introduced to ensure that the mother, who is not a kingpin, who doesn't own a small-scale concession and carries a baby behind his back, would get something else.
So you are
to do
saying the
and make money.
126,000 people have been given jobs?
I said this,
by this.
I said these 14 schemes
Okay.
are supposed to create 126,000
No.
jobs. As we speak, 65,000.
Don't tell me suppose.
No, let me give you 65,000 jobs have been created on these 14
Okay.
schemes. Okay.
That 65,000 people that you can count.
Yes, under
Okay.
the scheme.
And
Okay.
how much do they earn?
I don't have that figure.
So I thought the person who sent it to you.
Please,
could
nobody
have
sent it
added
to me. I have the figure here. I have the data here.
Okay.
I'm giving you a direct response.
Okay.
So as we speak, that is the community mining scheme. He has no understanding of it. And that is why for 8 years they were unable to solve it. Listen, the Galamsey issue is a very complex situation that requires clarity in thought and a lot of things going into the thought process. And that's what the government is doing. I've explained to you.
You have had 6 years.
There are people.
You have had 6 years. What has changed?
What has changed is that we have trained 4,500 people heated to doing illegal, irresponsible
My water
mining.
is still brown.
But it doesn't matter. We are making progress.
It matters.
No, we are making progress. We are not stagnant. They were stagnant for 8 years. At least we are making progress.
You call them incompetent, so it will make meaning if you keep comparing yourself to them.
So that is why I have given you figures. So we have taken 4,500 people who were heated to illegally destroying our land off, and we are still adding onto the numbers. And then when you come and you hear that we have made progress in phase 1, you said, oh, but if phase 1 worked, why are you introducing phase 2? And I'm educating you that it is multifaceted. The guy who owns the land.
So the community mining project is phase 1. Is that the case?
Yes. And then
then this new one is phase 2.
No, we even have a phase 2.
Okay.
The phase 2 was the initial one that was providing alternatives for landowners.
Sani.
Thank you.
The phase 2 was the one that was introducing alternative for landowners. And I gave you an example of Richie Plantation in my area, where they give seedlings to landowners to plant on their land and make money.
Okay.
Now, we are now dealing with, call them the grassrooters.
Okay.
The woman who carries the baby, she doesn't own the land. She doesn't own the concession. Okay. She doesn't own the small scale or illegal mine. She only walks into a site and provides labor.
So help me, the community mining project, has it ended?
No, it hasn't. How does it end?
It's still running. It will run concurrently with this one.
It is running. All 3 are running. The one that the first phase that was providing seedlings and all those things to the landowners is running. The community mining scheme is running. The National Alternative and Employment Livelihood Program, as we have introduced, is also running. And I am very sure that others will also be run because there are complexities within the sector, and everybody within that space that contributes.
And you see, they are all running and having an impact, but the color, my water, is not changing.
But the color and water will change when we succeed finally at this.
It is a process.
After 6 years.
But this why it's been destroyed for 12, 8 years, 16 years. How do you expect it to change in a year or two?
I thought that Professor Frimpong Boateng, the ministry that he led, the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, they had put on their website that we had done 97% of the fight against Galamsey, and that we were left with 3%. Fast forward, Abu Jinapor becomes minister, and the first thing he does with Kojo Oppong Nkrumah and Madam Cecilia Dapa, who were all part of the interministerial committee on against illegal mining. In fact, Mr. Jinapor was a deputy chief of staff, so he would have had opportunity to see all the reports from the committee of 10 ministers, of which Kojo was part, Ambrose Derry was part, Cecilia Dapa was part, Dominic Nito was part, you can name all of them. Now, the first thing Abu does when he takes over as Minister for Lands is to then go on a tour to tell us that they were trying to understand the problem that they were supposed to have been fighting, which they had done 97%. And so I'm suggesting to you, I'm asking, that if all of these things are working, Professor Frimpong Boateng said we have done 97%, why are we coming back and struggling to do 3% to make up the 100?
So you've actually dealt with the issue for me. So then it tells you that you do not have a single fit when you are dealing with
because it's been left with 3 minutes or 3%.
So then it tells you if we are still here trying to find alternative solutions, then it tells you that anybody that comes to tell you that you did A and why are you doing B doesn't understand the issue. It tells you how complex the situation is. We are here again because
I'm not trying. I'm not understanding.
We are here again because even if you go there and get all the people off the water, economic situations that they find themselves in will push them back in there.
At what time did the 97% that we had achieved, according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, which was put on the website of the ministry, at what point did they start deteriorating again? Because we're just left with 3%.
At the point where
3%.
At the point where the economic situation of the people, as they were taking off the river bodies, started getting worse, and they had no alternative.
We didn't have a plan.
Yes, at that point, these programs were not there. This program has been introduced now. So you see, that is, I want you to open up and understand.
2017, when the media started the Galamsey fight.
Did you hear of any alternative program for them?
Hold on. 2017, when the media started the Galamsey fight and the government waged into it, I remember the government said 1 district, 1 factory, 1 village, 1 dam, and all those ones were going to support in creating jobs for them. In fact,
I'm glad you are not using the right word, support.
In fact, there was a Ghana map that was put out there and showed which district had which raw material and which factory was going to be situated where.
Efija Kwabre South. Agricultural, no, not Efija Kwabre South. Shama District in the Western region. Keda Ceramics Company Limited. There's some illegal mining there. They have a factory there. Wasa East, Narubis Limited, processing of natural rubber. There's some illegal mining there. They have a factory there. Himai Lower Dentra in the Central Region, Bloomfields Limited, they process cassava. There's some illegal mining there, they have a factory there. Himai Lower Dentra, Central Oil Mills Limited, production of and processing of oil palm. There's some illegal mining there, they have a factory there.
I'll be happy if you tell me.
I'm here, so let me please.
I'll be happy, no, let's go back to the factories. I'll be happy if you tell me, for example, factory A, there's some illegal mining here. Factory A is employing X number of people.
Oh, but you see,
then we're making progress. Then we are making progress.
When you start shifting,
I'm not shifting.
Let me make my point. When you start shifting and jumping from the argument, it becomes very.
Which funny. Argument am I?
Now today, on this your set, I've given you the companies and the locations and the district.
Right.
Tomorrow or next week when I come, I'll bring you the number that they've employed for each of these companies. So they're satisfied.
But if you are doing...
I brought this up, the impression was created that these districts... I don't know who created, but the impression was created that this district didn't have the factories running. And I've given you the names of the factories. Send your reporters. Let them go. I can leave this data for you. In the district,
you are the one making the claims.
Verify. I've given it to you.
No, but you are the one making the claims. Now, so I'm asking you. Yeah, no, I'll bring you in.
No, so what's your point?
I'm saying that. Hold on. I'm saying to you, you are bringing the data. I don't know where you're bringing it from. I don't know where you're bringing it from. I'm saying to you that I've just given you a chronology of how the media started the fight, how the government jumped onto it, set up an interministerial committee of 10 ministers, subsequently came to tell us that we had achieved 97% of the fight against Galamsey. I didn't put it there. It was on the ministry's website. Now we're left with 3%. A new minister comes. We do a whole national dialogue, and we say we are going on a tour to understand the problem as it is. And I'm asking, at what point did we lose track of the 97% to do the 3%, which will make the 100%?
To sum up and respond to you. Number one, I have told you here that the fight against Galamsey has been very complex. One of the challenges has been the fact that anytime the government succeeds in raiding these people off our water bodies and forests, after 6-7 months, they go back.
Okay.
Because the economic conditions are very bad. Now, the government, in dealing with this and dealing with it permanently, has decided to introduce alternative livelihood programs to ensure that these people get engaged in other economic activities so that they are not enticed to go back to this side. Okay. I have explained to you that they are in 3 phases and in 3 levels. One of them has to do with the landowners. One has to do with the woman who is carrying the baby behind the back and needs to feed herself. And I've explained to you what the community mining scheme is and what it's doing and what it has achieved. And I've also explained to you what the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program is. Then you threw in the question that said that, but you are going to, you said you are going to use 1 district, 1 factory. I have just given you a list of 1 district, 1 factory. I haven't exhausted it. That exists in the community mining areas.
Okay.
I'll leave this data with you. You can give it to your reporters. Let them go and verify. I have given you a response.
You are now taking editorial authority of our newsroom.
No, just so you are satisfied. I have told you that it is a fight that goes unabated. Yes, I'll leave it with you. When they were in power for 8 years, let them tell you what they did and how they left it after 8 years for it to come in.
I hear you. I think that you should take up the challenge because you see, I have said repeatedly, Johnny, that the incompetence of this government is not even as annoying as their dishonesty. We have lived in this country. Yes, we have lived in this country. You see, you introduced the issue of immigration recruitment and the number of youth that turned out yesterday. This is a government that told us they have created over 1 million jobs in the agri sector alone. And during vetting, you recall, when we broke down the jobs that they claim to have created, even boys who carried fertilizer to trucks were considered jobs. So if, for example, the way they calculated the jobs was that if a farmer had 100 bags of fertilizer to distribute, it meant 100 jobs have been created because some people will carry it. In fact, the jobs they created included even the corn dough, people who do corn dough to sell.
Oh, really?
Yes. In fact, during vetting, the agri minister, together with Honorable Muntaka, when he was questioning him, it got to that. I mean, those were the things they counted as jobs. And it is that dishonesty that leads to the numbers that you saw out there. Because they paint a picture of how well they have created so many jobs. But each time, a vacancy is advertised, you get shocked by the numbers of people who are still unemployed out there. And that is why he quickly ran away from the topic of immigration and went back to that same deception, dishonesty of the factories they have created. Look, Johnny, again with the factories, we have in this country proven severally that some of the factories they claim they have established were already existing factories that they have just given, tax waivers to. Already existing factories. In fact, some of those factories are older than some of them. But they have captured them as factories that they have created.
But if the government supports a factory, it supports a business person.
But I'm saying that this is what every government has done in the past.
Okay.
In fact, the pharmaceutical industry was supported tremendously under the NDC. We did not go to erect signboards in front of those pharmaceutical industries as industries that we have created. So I am saying that we have proven time and again that even in some districts that they claim, in fact, in my area, they talked about a tricycle factory that they have created. That tricycle company has been in Gumani assembling tricycles when we were young. But they will capture it in this data as factory they have created in Tamale. That is the level of dishonesty. That's why I'm saying you should take up this challenge. And you may just be surprised at what you will see when you go to these factories and the history of these factories. And the workers that are there may just be workers who have been working there since 19 Choboi, if they have not gone on retirement. They may not have just employed anybody since, this government came into power. But maybe just some little support by way of tax waivers in some cases, they capture it as a factory that they have established. And they can spew, that on national TV. And just the last one, Johnny, please.
Because when I see the young people gathered,
please,
it
Johnny,
hurts my heart.
The last one. My brother, he talks about, the fight against Galamsey being multifaceted. And then he explains to you about community mining, that they get the kingpin, they take the kingpin to the school to train the kingpin, and then he comes to now regulate the people who are, the youth, so to speak, in the sector to now mine, responsibly. Now, at the launch, they said this NALEB is in response to the loss of livelihoods. Johnny, just think for a moment. If people are engaged in mining, you say you are regulating it through the community mining project. So you take the kingpin, you train him, and you take him back to the community to now use those hands to mine responsibly. How do you lose livelihoods? Who are those who have lost livelihoods that you now need NALEB for? Who are those who have lost livelihood? Because you are saying that the community mining project is supposed to train the kingpins so that they can go and then mine responsibly with the community people. Not so. So you go back, you have trained whatever number you have given here, which should also be cross-checked, because you can never trust them with figures.
How that's unfair?
That is true. You can never trust them with figures. And you have exposed them several times through your news reports. You can never trust them with figures. So you take the kingpins, you train how many, they go back to their community, and then people are still affected. How? Because you haven't banned mining. You have used the community mining to now make them mine responsibly. And yet you claim that you need a program that will take care of people who may have lost their livelihoods. Whose livelihoods?
I hear you.
If the community mining project is working well, no one should lose their livelihood.
How do we get around the numbers that always come up at the slightest announcement of some vacancy somewhere? We saw it at the YEA job fair. We've seen it at LWAC for the military recruitment. We've seen it for fire service. We've seen it for prisons. We've seen it for immigration. Now the young people are telling you, we are going in there because we can't find jobs. And that, for me, is a huge national security problem.
First of all, Johnny, we need to be honest with ourselves. And the government needs to be honest with the people. Even with the YEA job fair, you know that the people were deceived.
How?
Didn't you hear some of them speak of how they were told that jobs were there for them to take?
There were 3,500 jobs, the last time I checked, available. However, they were told that they would do seminars for them, teach them how to write CVs, interview tapes, and all of that.
And so the 3,000 got recruited?
Well, that's what the YEA
That's
said.
what they said. Have they been recruited? That's what I'm saying. First of all, you have to be honest with the people. The finance minister at least has tried. Even as annoying as it is, he has tried to be honest that we are faced with this challenge. Because you see, if the people do not appreciate the problem that we are faced with, they may begin to think that people who are in responsible positions, who are supposed to make life better for them and create jobs for them, are wicked.
I hear you.
And that is what can lead to, uprisings and the like that we have
don't want to get there.
Exactly, we don't want to go there. But I'm saying we need to be honest with the people and stop this deception of churning out figures and churning out, achievements that do not exist, that do not make any impact.
That is the numbers that come out each time these announcements are made, and we will have some more on our hands in 3 days when NAPCO ends. National service has ended. The numbers are there. For me, as a young person, it hurts. And I don't know what you say from a government point of view.
Johnny, when do you have a country where for 8 years under Honorable Soyini's government,
as if you didn't do 8 years. President Kufuor did 8 years.
You churned out close to 700,000 unemployed. I'm using this figure conservatively because for the 8 years they were not really, doing any much in terms of recruitment, and we're churning out close to 70 to 80,000 graduates. That's just university graduates, not to speak of the polytechnics and all the other technical institutions. But today, today, you have a government that's through the collaboration with private sector has created these jobs. And I'm challenging you to it. I'll leave it with you. I'll leave it with you. I'm challenging you to it. I'll leave it with you.
So what are the numbers out there?
Hold on, I'll come there. So far, 278 factories. 108 of them are operational. Okay, the operational ones have employed 150,000, young people. And yet we have a lot coming to our work because for a very long time we created a backlog of into the millions of unemployed young people.
So you are not complicit.
So what I am saying is
that
the only way we can solve this is to continue to keep a government that is forward thinking, that is providing practical solutions to the job,
that
to
will
the
count fertilizer. That will count fertilizer.
Allow him.
No, that will count fertilizer.
Allow him.
Jobs.
When you go to a factory, you have the manager who wears tie and comes to sit down. You have the accountant. You have the guy who works the reflective jacket and
the
press
factory
machines.
hands.
You have those who sweep. They are employment. They are jobs. Somebody's job is to sweep. So that person also has employment.
So my final question to you: you want to be retained,
so that we can create more.
But the job that you have been giving to manage and create jobs for the young people has not ended. You are looking for another job.
Yes, because we have shown you
the jobs.
Quick message, Johnny. Please, October ends. 3 years contract of NAPCO, but the secretariat is mute, especially Dr. Anyas. We are pleading with you to kindly bring him on board to speak to us. Thank you, Johnny. AU Farouk in Tamale North says, good morning to you, Johnny, and to my MP Suhini. Seriously, the EC chair and her deputies are behaving radically and irresponsible. What kind of unrealistic analysis is that? Very shameful and disgusting. Johnny, I love what you're doing, fighting for the youth. Religious, academic leaders, chiefs are silent, but there's pain in our hearts. We can't sleep, especially when we read that Africa's issue above. God save us. Johnny, Roland Archer, this is from our front plains. Good morning, Mr. Hughes and TV3. On behalf of the youth of Ghana, I thank you for whatever yourself and TV3 are doing for us. We are grateful. The unemployment situation under President Akufo-Addo is serious. John Boydu told us that looking at the policies of the NPP has put in place, a time will come when Ghana will import people to come and work in this country. Can all of us see what is happening now? Deceit and lies, the hallmark of this government. Osman Bukrisan in Tamale. Dr. Downblow from Brimsu, Apeuska. It says, fuel prices have skyrocketed, yet the president feels obliged to, you say the president is misbehaving. I don't think the president is misbehaving. Sorry about that. I cannot continue reading that. You ask them to fix the country. They ask you to fix your attitude. You ask them to provide you jobs. They lied to power. They are asking you to create your own job. They promise to build an harbor with no strings on them that they tell you they can't do because it was a gratuitous promise. They say they have created over 2 million jobs, yet graduates are choking everywhere for jobs. They said they are implementing planting for food and jobs, yet 4 cedis KK does not satisfy me. They killed to win power, yet the elections is free and fair. Good morning, my only mentor, Johnny. I hope you guys are doing well. The only thing I like about you is you always say it as it is. It doesn't matter to which political party. Keep it up. This from Johnson, East Legon. I'm sure that we can end here at this point. Finally, the last one says, Johnny, good morning. I'm watching you live and thank you for the good works. Johnny, can you believe I was part of the 84,000 applicants for the past 3 years with my qualified certificate, willing to serve my country and yet couldn't get it? Same thing applies to the Ghana Police Service. And the sad thing people say is that if you don't have protocol, forget it. You won't get the job. What a heartbreaking situation. I applied again this year and I had a message to report on Thursday to join the long queue with 100 Ghana cedis paid. And they tell us that they are picking only 500. It's a worrying situation. Etonam from Ashaman. Well, he was part of the 84,000 people who queued for immigration service job sometime in 2018 or so. Only 500 of them were picked. Again, he has gone to buy another 100 Ghana. So every time, 100 Ghana, 100 Ghana. Dennis Miracle Sabwajes, former Municipal Chief Executive for the Ekuapem North Municipal Assembly. Thank you very much, Dennis, for coming. Also, Al-Hassan Suhini is a member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency. And we're grateful that you could join us. Grateful. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you after the break.